So, let's see, what do we got on the go here? Introduction to us, yeah. So, we're a two-man dev team. Me and another guy, Hafiz. We met on Reddit a little while ago, a couple years ago now. Oh, thank you. It's okay, that's fine. We met on Reddit a couple years ago, and we started making this game. So, it's multiplayer. It's supposed to be kind of like Monster Hunter and Dark Souls and a few other things. It's very Diablo-esque. Anyways, let's talk about how this city came about, because I spent a lot of hours making this this town, and I won't lie to you, I am a huge fan of it. I think this place is very unique. It's really immersive. I think people who like exploring will enjoy exploring this town, because I tried to make it functionally work. You know, it doesn't just look pretty, but it actually could function as a city, I believe. I tried to make it that way. And so, one of the main challenges of this city is that it's built on such an aggressive slope, because it's supposed to be built on the side of a mountain, right? And so you see these massive retaining walls that separate each district. And so, this district is the bottom right one. It's at the very bottom. And the door is right here. One of the doors. And so you can see the other retaining wall right here. And so there's levels to the city, because you just can't make a city on a slope this extreme and have it comfortable for people. And so initially when I made the city, I realized that they had to get supplies through the city somehow. And I managed to get the slope. It's still pretty extreme. If you had to pull a cart up this little hill, it wouldn't be easy. But you could do it, you know, if you had horses and, you know, they do have gears and a lot of different engineering technology in the lore. And so you could put a hoist at the top of this and, you know, like a winch, and attach it to carts down at the bottom and pull them up. That's entirely plausible in our lore. So, yeah, basically the city has levels. Let's go look at a few of them. This is a nice vantage point up here. I'm at the very top level right now, and then it technically goes up further, the Sin Eater's headquarters, but this is as high as you can go for like the general public, I should say, can come up to this upper district. And the districts do get wealthier as you move up towards the top. This is a fairly nice district I'm in right now. This is in the middle. This is also, you know, the player house, so you can come in here. There's not any features in here because I moved them recently, but I do visually find it pleasing in here. It's very cozy. So this right here is sort of the downtown area. You know, this is a government building technically. So down here is a little mini tavern, and then when you go upstairs, they host like, you know, town hall meetings up here and whatnot. Very important meetings are held up here. And then, you know, you have the poorer neighborhoods, but Refusal is supposed to be a safe haven, one of the last known ones from the demonic force outside the walls. And so people, you know, are allowed, the government lets the people in this city just kind of build wherever they can, as long as it's not too disruptive of the flow of the city. And so the government just lets people set up little huts and shanties around. You know, obviously it's not ideal, but the wealth distribution in a lore like this is, you know, it's pretty complicated. There's obviously going to be a lot of poor people and wealthy people, but they do let people just sort of build wherever there's room, because, you know, they understand they're trying to cram everyone in here. And so if you wander around, you will notice that there are a lot of sort of like rundown areas, but you know, the people still want to live here because they're safe after all, and Refusal is extremely safe. Here's another one. You know, it just goes back here. You can go up this sort of explore. You know, it gets pretty tight in there, but... So, that was kind of the motivation for Refusal. Just a city that was, you know, built to be beautiful and safe on a mountain, and then over the years, people have migrated here, and it's sort of filled up with, you know, little, a bit of some rougher housing, but still safe nonetheless. And so, of course, the big centerpiece that we look at right here, and they do have a lift system, which is really cool. So, you know, you've got these lifts everywhere, and it really helps people. It's usually for transporting supplies, but since we're, you know, part of the Sin Eaters Guild, we can just use them to fast travel. But, yeah, they're used to transport supplies, so you don't have to haul them up that big hill. So the lift system is kind of cool. It's like a mini ski lift, honestly. And you can go anywhere. So we'll go back up here. So let's go back into the Sin Eater's quarters. So the whole idea behind this place, and we had just made some changes, some pretty major changes about this. So these vendors that you see, you know, here's the skill trainer. You can equip your skills from here. These guys used to be scattered all over the city. So the skill trainer was over in that area. The quest board was actually down there where those little pillars are. The attribute trainer was up in the church over there. You get the point. They were spread around. The blacksmith was down there. And so what we realized was that in practice, it didn't work as well as I had hoped. I wanted people to explore the map and enjoy going to these different locations to gear up. It sounds nice, and some games and lots of MMOs, you know, they do this with success. I'm familiar with World of Warcraft and, you know, running around Orgrimmar everywhere to find different things, and it was never an issue for me, and I kind of enjoyed it. And so I wanted to try to replicate some kind of similar experience where, you know, you're using the whole town for vendors. What I realized is that for the majority of people, it's just a pain in the ass. And people don't want to run around everywhere and look for various vendors, especially in a game like this one, which really pulls heavily from the style of game that Monster Hunter is, where you are in a hub town, and then you're accepting a quest, you're going into a dungeon, you're doing something, you're returning, you're gearing up, you're accepting a quest, you're inviting friends, you're selling gear, you're returning to a quest, killing a boss, coming back. So it's this game flow where there's sort of a hub town that you return to. People don't want to just be running around everywhere all the time. It becomes very repetitive. It's not exactly like World of Warcraft, which is, you know, you show up to Orgrimmar and you hang out, and you might go learn some new abilities, and you go to the auction house and you run around. And then you go back out into the world, and you may not come back to Orgrimmar for hours. You know, you're out in the world, you might go to Thousand Needles and do some questing, you might be in the Barrens. So you're coming back to Orgrimmar not as often as you are returning to this hub world. And that's why it didn't work fundamentally. We had an extra problem, which was that a lot of people who played the tutorial would just get confused. It was very long, but there weren't many steps. And so I was like, why does it feel so long? It's just the distance that they have to run to get to each vendor. And so we quickly modeled up this whole headquarters here. And, you know, I think it looks quite nice. I really like it. I'm happy how it turned out. I also optimized Refusal heavily because people spend most of their time up here, and it gave a lot of frames back to players, which is great. But having the vendors all close by has been a huge quality of life improvement, and I don't think we're going to go back for multiple reasons. One, the tutorial is much faster, so people can get through the tutorial a lot easier. Two, if they're confused, everything is in this room. There's only so long you can stay confused for. You can talk to every single vendor one at a time in a different order, and you will eventually figure it out, for sure. So because of those reasons, we made all these changes, and I think it's quite nice. So now let's talk about each vendor in Sinderfury. So let's talk to Etch right here. He's the Tome of Knowledge. So if you get confused, you can talk to this guy. And this guy basically just has all kinds of instructions about the game. And he talks to you in depth about every UI element, all the currency. If it's a little bit long and you don't want to read through it, you absolutely don't have to, and you can just close the menu and walk away. But if you find there might be something that you're curious about, you might find it in here. I tried to include a lot, and we'll probably add more in the future. But he talks about every vendor, all the abilities systems, all the currencies, a lot of good stuff in there. Trinket vendor. Now, trinkets go in this slot down here, your T slot. A trinket is basically another ability. You use it in the same ways you would with all your other abilities, but you have to unlock them with gold. They cost 150 gold. And each trinket has a unique function. Now, the reason why these are trinkets and not abilities is because they all share the same animation, and so the cast speed is all uniform amongst them. And the cast speed is very fast. It's almost instant cast. You have to do a little hand wavy animation and then it casts, but it's not this big charge up, it's not this big swing where you gotta, actually perform an animation. They're meant to be these utility, very fast, extra abilities that you can additionally use to customize your class with. So those are trinkets. The blacksmith. So the blacksmith is where you're gonna make all your money from, because you can sell all the items that you pick up in each dungeon. So make sure the stream... Okay, we're still good. It froze on my screen. I think we're still good. Alright, so where was I? Blacksmith. You make all your money from here. You pick up all your in-game dungeon items, gear. The higher the rarity, the more it sells for. Same thing with purchasing. So, the higher the rarity, the more it costs. Now, the blacksmith scales with your dungeon level. So, if you have completed up to, let's say, dungeon 3, the prices will increase because they scale with how powerful the gear is. But you'll also make more money for the gear you sell from dungeon 3. And the gear you buy will be better. It'll be gear from dungeon 3. So, if you find you have, $300 or $400 and you're around dungeon 3 and you're unhappy with your legs, for example, OBS disconnected. Am I disconnecting? I need to check if the stream keeps disconnecting. Am I back? I got the notification that I disconnected. I just want to make sure it's back. Okay. Thank you, Absol. Right. I think we said enough about the blacksmith. You can buy only armor. You can't buy weapons. The blacksmith is specifically meant for... So, why do you want all this different gear, first of all? Why would you want this plate? Why would you want this different looking plate? Why would you want this, this, dress thing? Why would you want this cloth piece? And the idea is, it has to do with the stats. Some of it is cosmetic, okay? So all the plate sets are gonna have the same attributes. So some of it is cosmetic, but some of it actually has a real purpose. The plate sets will drastically reduce your movement speed, okay? So when you equip a full plate set, you will be slow as shit. You will be able to, you'll be able to move and still sprint and stuff, but, it's going to My freaking hood, man. Do you know how cozy I am with this hood on? And it keeps sliding off my head. But if I pull it down too far, you won't be able to see me. There we go. Shit. Oh, man. And then I got pizza here. What am I supposed to do? Not eat it? Okay. So the gear has different weights, and it affects your move speed. And so being fast in this game is a really big buff, because you can bait out boss attacks, and then you can sprint in and punish him for it. If you're big and slow and heavy, you're not going to have that punish window like someone who's running around naked. What are the benefits to being slow? Well, the heavier the gear, the more armor you get. So it is weighted, it is guaranteed that you will have more armor with heavy gear, always. How much armor you get, well, that determines on some of your rolls, but you will definitely have more armor. What you will have less of is cooldown reduction. So the light armor will give you much more cooldown reduction. For casters, for DPS players, your abilities are going to come off cooldown way faster, and you can stack up cooldown reduction. And so the idea of the blacksmith is that you have your gear set from your dungeons, and you have some extra gold from selling gear, and you look at your leg piece, and let's say you are looking to maximize DPS. You might go in here and you might buy a legendary cloth leg piece, and it might give you 12% cooldown reduction. That's pretty good. You'll do more damage because your abilities will come off cooldown 12% faster. And then you can get that for each piece, and slowly, you know, you'll build up to 60% cooldown reduction, and now you're flying, you know, and you still have fast move speed. Well, what you don't have is a lot of armor, so you'll still be pretty squishy, but, you know, more mobile. So that's how it's balanced. What do we got next? Attribute Trainer. So this is a huge part of the game. So these little hearts down here are called sins, and you get them by killing bosses and carving the boss. When you carve the boss, you get to consume his heart, and it gives you sins. When you kill demons in the dungeon, you also get sins. They'll drop them as little hearts. And you can also find them in chests and barrels and whatever. It's a normal drop. Now these hearts, they convert into attribute points. And these attribute points just make you stronger. So you can put health, mana, rage, stamina. Some abilities need a lot of rage to use. And so, you know, if you've got a gear set that only gives you 75 and you need 80, you can chuck a couple points into rage. And that will sort of complete your build for the time being. But that is not the only use of these stats. So let's talk about what these stats actually do. So health is quite straightforward. It's just your health pool. Having more max HP does have certain effects though, which we'll talk about later. Mana is also relatively straightforward. It's just your resource pool for all of your casted abilities, just like you would find in another game. It charges up slowly when you're not attacking, which we might change. We might make it so that it charges up all the time, but you do end up getting a lot of resource points, attribute points to chuck into all these pools. So you can end up having like 500 mana or more if you want to by late game, which is a lot. Now rage is very interesting. So rage is what you use. I can show you what rage actually does. Let's take a normal greatsword, and all these weapons are the holy set. We have a demon set and a dark set, but you can only start with the holy weapons. So the greatsword, what you'll notice if you hover over your abilities, and by the way, you can press right alt on your keyboard to get your mouse, and you can hover over these abilities, and you can read what they do. You can see the cooldown, you can see how much rage they either build or cost, and same with mana. The yellow number is stamina. Most things don't cost any stamina. We kind of removed that. but you know, it's still there just in case. So this weapon is supposed to build 10 rage. That's why it says plus 10. And so you'll notice every time I attack, it builds 10 rage. And I'm not at a perfect 70 because rage actually deteriorates over time. You can see when I'm not attacking, it's going down. And so this is my rage pool. So when I have abilities that use rage, for example, Whirlwind. If we hover over Whirlwind, it costs 30 rage. That's why it says minus 30. And so if we don't have 30 rage, we can't use it. So once we have 30 rage, it lets you use it. So that is how rage works, very similar to World of Warcraft, where certain, you know, it's like auto attacks build your rage, and then you have moves that also build rage, but you have other high damage moves that spend rage, and yeah, we have it the same way. But there is another extremely useful function for rage that we're going to talk about, which is that rage actually affects knockback on bosses. So bosses are able to be flinched, knocked back, and knocked down. And it's a different probability for each one. Depending on a boss's percent of HP, the windows for each one are increased. And so as a boss gets lower and lower, the chance you'll knock the boss down gets higher because the boss gets weaker. I think Monster Hunter does something similar. I don't know the math behind what they do, but when you play the game, you can tell that you knock the boss down more as it gets weaker. So we tried to do something similar. So the way it works is that, and you can actually calculate what your knockdown is. So everyone starts with 75 rage. Let me just fill it up. Everyone starts with 75 rage. And the formula, okay, to calculate how much extra knockdown percent you have is the log of 1.5 of your max rage. So it would be the log of 1.5 of 75. Log 1.5 of 75. And when you calculate that, it becomes that's the percent of additional chance you have to get a knockdown on the boss. Okay? And the knockdown window will just keep going up and up. And not every ability and not every weapon has the same chance of knockdown. So for example, the Ultra Greatsword. This thing has the highest knockdown in the game because it's so slow. So that's one of the benefits of using this weapon. It's got super high knockdown on its base attack. And so if you build full rage and you just are able to swing at the boss like this, you'll probably notice that once every 4 swings, maybe more, you'll knock the boss back at least. You'll cause him to flinch and stop what he was doing. So this helps significantly for melee players because it just helps you get more damage off. You know, if the boss isn't hitting you and he's knocked back, that's a really nice thing to have. So rage is a really good stat. You can tank with it. You can use it as a DPS resource pool if you're a melee DPS, you know, going for the warrior type thing. Next stat, stamina. Stamina used to be one of the most useless stats in the game. Now it is probably the best stat in the game, and I love it. So stamina has a few different functions. One function is you can see when I sprint, it decreases. That's its least important function. Next function is when you have a shield equipped and you're blocking with it, which I'll show you. Let's get rid of this piece of crap. So if you have a shield equipped and you're looking to tank, you can block like this with right click, and all the damage that you take will be converted to stamina. And so as you're blocking, your stamina bar will start to chunk down. When it hits the bottom, if you get hit, sort of like a shield break animation will play and you'll get staggered. And then you won't be able to block until your stamina recharges. So if you max stamina and you want to tank and use a shield in particular, you actually don't even need to have a lot of HP to tank. you just max stamina. You could have 100 health, but if you have 1,000 stamina, nothing will ever break your shield block. And so you can kind of tank in interesting ways. You don't even need to take damage. It's just how strong you are at holding your shield. There's another ability in the game called Harden. You start with it. Harden converts all the damage you take to stamina in the same way that blocking with your shield does. But as you can see, Harden has a cooldown, and it only lasts for a short duration. And so what Harden is great for is melee classes who want to have a bit of an easier time early game, just being able to run at the boss and just smack them. And you don't have to worry about dodging super precise with your iframes. You can turn Harden on, sprint at him, smack him a few times, and when you see your stamina get low, you can start rolling out and run away. So it's kind of like, you know, just a passive shield you can turn on that has a cooldown. It's not as good as a real shield, but, you know, what it does is it opens up builds where you can tank without using a shield. Because, of course, not everyone wants to be stuck using a shield, but a lot of people do enjoy being tanky. The next major function of stamina. Stamina reduces the amount that you are knocked back when you receive damage. Now, this is a really big deal for melee players especially. So if you're fighting a boss and you're attacking him like this, and the boss hits you, how our knockback is calculated is if the boss deals more than a certain percentage of your max HP, you will be knocked back or flinched or knocked down. And so currently the knockback window is about 25-30% of your health. So if the boss hits you for like 30% of your health, you'll get knocked down. So you'll actually fly back and fall on your back, and you'll have to get up, and it'll be annoying. And then you'll have to reset whatever you were doing. If he hits you for, let's say, like 11%, you'll get flinched, so you'll just jump back a little bit, but you'll be able to pretty much keep attacking right away. Now, where stamina comes in. So everyone starts with 75 base stamina, and if you divide stamina by 10, you get 7.5, and we just take that as a flat percent for what we call it is the, it's called the base knockback floor percent. And so any damage you receive that does less than 7.5% of your max health will have no effect on you. It will still take away from your health pool, but it won't knock you back. So what that means is that if there's a bunch of mobs around hitting you for under 7.5% of your max health, they won't flinch you at all. Your health will go down, but you can just keep swinging. And so the idea is that if you put a lot of points into stamina and you stack up stamina gear, eventually the bosses will also not knock you back as much. And you can get to a point where the bosses don't knock you back at all. And that feels powerful because you can just run at a boss and he does not bother you. You take damage and you can just shrug it off and keep attacking. And it is super fun. Super fun. A side note, the Ultra Greatsword now is one of the only melee weapons, period, that gets armor. So when you hold an Ultra Greatsword, depending on which one you have, of course, and these don't have any armor since they're the starting weapons, but the ones you get from the dungeons will all have armor stats, and so you can actually get tankier by holding this weapon. The idea being is that it's just so huge, you know, some of the boss's attacks will probably just hit your weapon instead of your body. And so I figured I would give it some armor. It's already slow, so you can make these berserker builds where you have an Ultra Greatsword and a bunch of armor and a bunch of stamina and a bunch of rage, and you knock the boss back all the time. You barely get knocked back. You're dealing a bunch of damage, but you are slow. You know, you're really slow. But it's fun to be slow sometimes if you're tanky. You can just slowly walk through a dungeon, pull the entire fucking dungeon, and just kill everything, and you barely take damage. You feel like a beast. It's great. Okay. What do we have left? This is the quest board. you accept your quests here, and you click accept, and then you run out that door. You have your stash. You put weapons in your stash for later. This is good because if you wipe in a dungeon, you will lose all the stuff you picked up. And your stash is nice because a lot of times you'll find gear pieces that don't work well with your certain build, but you want to keep them for later because you might want to try different builds. And so you got to have a place to put all your nice legendaries that you find that don't quite fit your current build but are too good to sell. So that's what you use your stash for. So that's all the NPCs that we have. All the vendors that do stuff. I'll pick this back up. So next, what do we have next? Weapons. Let's go have a look at the weapons. So all these weapons they cover all the functions in the game. As in, you won't get any new abilities or anything from the weapons in the dungeons. They just look cooler and different. I won't even say cooler, they just look different. These are the holy weapons, and then we have a bunch of other different looking weapons, and you know, I like the holy weapons, but the demon style weapons, they look fucking sick, and the dark style weapons look unreal. So it's mostly for RP. You know, if you want to play as a paladin, you can absolutely do that. You can use a big holy shield and a big holy hammer, and you will look and feel like a paladin. So I like that. Not to mention, you know, the weapons glow in different ways. They actually glow different colors depending on which abilities you use. So if you use abilities from the Furirem set, your abilities will glow red. Sorry, your weapons will glow red. Sometimes they'll glow white if they're from the Zealot set, which is like sort of the healer. You see? It glows. Different color. So that's kind of neat. But this is the hammer and the shield. These are like the tankiest weapons in the game. They're also the slowest, so you'll have the highest weight when you have these on. The hammer does big damage with this left click combo. It's pretty slow. And of course you get to block, which is, you know, it's honestly super overpowered. I've tried to balance it as best I could. If you're having a hard time beating this game, just grab a shield. In single player, in multiplayer, you're not going to get the best times in the world on the bosses, but you're going to be super tanky, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. You don't have to time iframes or anything like that. Probably the easiest way is to just grab a shield, and that's what these two weapons are good for. So next we have the mace. Now the mace is a really fun weapon. It's super light, so you can run around really fast with it. Its right click is actually a full party heal. And so you'll heal everyone in your party for 100. And this scales with healing power. So when you get extra healing power on your gear, it will stack up straight onto this. And so, you know, when you and your party each have 600 health apiece, and everyone is at, I don't know, 300 health because a boss hurt everyone with, you know, the same move, you can just cast this heal and it will just automatically heal everyone for a lot. And so that's pretty nice if you want to play the healing role. Now the left click is just your combo. This combo does a lot of damage and you attack really fast. It feels really nice. Another fun effect of this combo is that it actually heals everyone you hit in your party, including yourself. And so you'll notice when you swing, you get health. You're not going to see it now because I'm at full health, but it does happen. So that's the mace. One thing I should mention is that every time you switch weapons, you'll see these two abilities unpopulate. And that's because each weapon has a unique two abilities it comes with. So the greatsword is a faster hitting sword, really good damage, really good for keeping like big hordes of mobs back and keeping them staggered because the attack is fast enough. The right click, if I let my rage diminish a little bit, I'll actually use this. The right click builds your rage up, and it keeps it that way for 4 seconds. I can't remember how long it is. 5 seconds. And so you'll just have unlimited rage pretty much for 5 seconds. This didn't used to be very good. Now it's top tier because of a recent ability change I made. So that's amazing. The Ultra Greatsword. Left click is a big slow combo. The right click is a charge. And you can charge it multiple times. Huge damage. Huge damage. Each charge, the range gets further too. And so you can actually use it more like a ranged ability. You can probably hit it from back here or so on its final charge. It increases by 100 damage every charge. And this is added on top of your weapon damage, of course. Your weapon damage affects every single ability in the game. So, what do we have next? Holy Rifle. So the rifle is just your classic rifle. You have to reload it. One thing you should note is that you can actually move while you shoot this. That's a pretty big deal. You can't move while you shoot many other weapons in the game. So you're very mobile. The rifle's right click is this big bomb. Does a lot of damage. And ranged weapons all get 1.5 times headshot damage. And so when you're fighting bosses, you should be going for headshots. You'll hit damage in a much bigger way if you're going for headshots. The Tome is another ranged weapon. Now this in particular is fantastic for AoE. It does less single target damage. I'm too close. I'm still too close. I'm trying to get them in a line, but I can't. Anyways, the Tome will hit multiple targets with its left click, which is unique to the ranged weapons. All the ranged weapons are single target, except the Tome, which can hit multiple targets. Now the Tome's right click is pretty crazy. The Tome's right click is actually a cooldown reset, so you can see this ability is on cooldown. When I reset it, it goes off cooldown, right? And this allows for some ginormous nuke combos from your late game mage abilities. You have to have a lot of mana, but man, you can pull some giant numbers if you use the Tome properly. And you can use the Tome with any ability, okay? So you don't need to use the Tome with just ranged abilities. You can use it with bomb throw, you could use it with trip bomb, you know, you could use it with uppercut. The Tome doesn't build rage, and so you're gonna have a hard time getting enough rage to use these big rage dumps like Execution. But see, Rage Dash is plus 25 rage, so you can use this to build rage. And so you could use that with the Tome. You could use Uppercut, that generates rage as well. None of these cost rage. Sorry, these do. But this one doesn't. That costs health, actually. But yeah, the Tome is crazy. Now, the bow. The bow is super fun to use. You can just stand here and snipe. It's got really good projectile speed, really fast shooting. Doesn't deal as much damage as the other ranged weapons, but that's because of how fast it shoots. And, you know, if you're getting headshots with this thing, you will melt a boss. And you can't move while you're shooting, something to note. The right click is an AoE ability. It pierces through multiple targets and it does a lot of damage. And the projectile speed's super fast. So, you know, the bow is pretty standard. It's what you might expect. Really fun weapon. Did I miss anything? I don't believe so. Okay, next we're going to talk about the loot system and gear progression. And I'm going to eat some pizza real quick, because I'm hungry. Much better. This is not water, but it looks like it. And pretty funny. You can tell it's not water because there's no refraction on my face. vodka. Okay. Alright, loot. The thing that everybody loves so much. So, loot drops from killing enemies, from opening chests, destroying barrels, killing bosses. You get loot from basically everything you do. It comes in 4 rarities: common, rare, epic, legendary. The rarity means the loot is better. And in every dungeon that you progress, the loot scales linearly. So, first heart, you'll get level 1 gear. The amount of attribute points you get for each piece of gear is 15. So that means they will distribute 15 attribute points to each weapon. That is multiplied by 1. And then how our rarity system multiplies gear. Let me look at the formula. I have it over here. It is rarity to the power of 1.5 over 2. So let me take out my calculator. So if we have a piece of gear from level 1, you get 15 attribute points multiplied by 1 because it's level 1, multiplied by the rarity. So let's say you get a legendary, multiplied by a legendary is considered as a number 4, by the way. Right. Yeah, so without going too much into detail, because I just realized that I can get into a deep rabbit hole here. That's why I paused. Our gear progression with rarity scales exponentially. And so a common item is exponentially worse than a legendary item. And you only get legendary items from killing bosses. Sometimes you'll get them from chests, and man, is it a sweet treat when you get them. But they're super, super good. And every level, the legendaries will also scale linearly. And so I don't know what happens when you multiply an exponential curve by a linear curve. I think it just, the whole thing goes way up. But the idea is that every dungeon you go into, you're getting better gear than the previous one. And you notice a significant difference between a common and a rare item and a legendary. So those things had to be tuned in very carefully, because, you know, if your legendary items are too good and your linear dungeon scaling isn't enough, what will end up happening is you'll get legendaries from dungeon 3 that will carry you all the way to dungeon 7. And, you know, some people might like that, but me personally, I like getting new gear pieces all the time. I find it really fun. You're always changing builds. You know, you might get a legendary gear piece that's got a fuck ton of mana or rage on it, and you're kind of thinking like, man, this gear piece is so good, I'm actually going to change my build to use this gear piece as best I can. And so I like that stuff. So that's why our loot system works that way. It might change in the future, but honestly, probably not. It feels quite good. Geez, what else do we have? We talked about so much here. Gear heavier. We can talk about armor. So armor comes on every piece of gear, and it also comes on shields and ultra great swords. Okay. How armor works. So currently we have an armor cap in our game of 720. So this is maximum armor rolls from the last dungeon, and it's a legendary. It means all your attribute points that you have allocated to your armor stat all roll 5s, which is the max amount of armor, and then it goes through all the multipliers of legendary and everything else, you know, level 9 item level. If you have all best in slot armor rolls, you'll hit 720 armor, and that ends up being 86% damage mitigation. So you will take 86% less damage from everything. So the way that armor works is essentially 1 point of armor is 0.12% damage mitigation. So if you have like 100 armor on your character, is 12% damage mitigation. Or sorry, that's 120 armor. What am I doing here? Yeah, I was right. I'm going through a lot of information here really fast. So, basically, as the game progresses, because of how the gear scaling works, and because legendaries are exponential, it's a soft exponential curve with gear scaling, meaning you are significantly stronger at level 6 and 7 than you are at level 1. And so the bosses react accordingly to this. The bosses get exponentially harder, and so do the mobs, but the player doesn't feel it because they're progressing at the same rate. But if you were to just throw, like, you know, a level 2 player into a level 7, man, would it be rough. They'd probably get clobbered. You know, you'd have to have someone pulling a lot of weight because you do no damage, you'd have crap gear, you'd just get one shot by every boss, and it wouldn't be fun. So as the game progresses, the bosses do more and more and more damage to the point where, you know, probably in our last dungeon, level 9, the boss will probably hit for 400 every attack or more. And that sounds like a lot. Maybe he'll hit for more. I don't know, maybe he'll hit for 800. And I'll assume that by the time players get to level 9, I will see that they will have had access to level 9 armor. You see what I'm saying? Level 9 armor, they might have 600 armor, and they might have 60% damage mitigation. That's a lot of damage mitigation, okay? And so if the boss hits you for 800, but you have 60% damage mitigation, you know, let's do some quick math here. 480 is what it ends up becoming. And they're going to have a huge health pool, too, because of all the attribute points they get as they progress. So they might have 1,000 health. And they get hit by the boss's strongest attack, and it only does 480. And then they have a healer healing them up for a certain amount. And that healer's got heal power, and the tank's got aggro, and there's so many moving pieces, right? Armor is super good. Super fucking good. You want to have armor. The more skilled players will probably lean towards move speed builds because move speed is like a crazy thing. You know, you can sprint around, do insane damage, you're not weighed down. It's super fun. I love move speed builds, especially with melee. You feel like a cheesy little bastard because no one can hit you, but it does take a lot of skill because, you know, the margin for error is very small. So that's armor. Let's talk about a little bit of boss fight stuff. So one major mechanic we have in our boss fight system. Where's the hammer? I've been just dropping shit everywhere. No, whatever. I don't know where it went. That's probably in my stash. Here it is. So there is a system called aggro. World of Warcraft has it. All kinds of game has it. It's nothing new. Aggro basically, it's a calculation between, it's basically a calculation of who's doing the most damage to the boss in a certain interval of time. And so you imagine this interval is moving through time, and the boss is receiving damage in this interval of, I think it's like 5 seconds. Drink of water. So it's a moving interval through time, and the boss is taking damage in these small intervals, and the boss will see who's dealing the most damage, and he will attack that person. So what a tank can do, because, you know, imagine this, you're a tank, you have a shield, you're not dealing that much damage. You can deal crazy damage as a tank, for the record. But you aren't going to be dealing much damage as a tank because you don't know what you're doing. So you're just going to stand there and block. But what you are going to do is be a super useful utility for your team, because you're going to be soaking up all the damage so that your teammates can do all kinds of damage. Now, blocking, so every time the boss hits your shield and you block it, you generate 10 times the boss's attack damage in aggro. So if the boss does, let's say the Crypt Keeper, second boss on the second dungeon, he has some attacks that do like 40 damage, nothing crazy. You will generate 400 aggro for blocking that attack. Okay? Nobody is going to out-damage your aggro with shield. So when you block a boss's attack, you can keep that boss stuck to you when you're a tank. It feels fantastic. You can constantly block with the shield, and the boss will keep coming back to you. And so when you build all that stamina, and you got all this armor on, you got your big shield, and you're blocking, that boss isn't just going to jump around and fuck with everyone else in your party. He's going to attack you, and you're going to be able to show off your giant stamina pool, and you're going to take no damage, and your teammates are going to love you because you're just going to be smacking the boss nonstop. Now, what happens if you lose aggro? Because this can happen, right? Nothing is perfect. You're going to run out of stamina at some point. You might die. And not to mention starting aggro. You know, that's an interesting thing too. Let's say you're in a team fight with 3 people, and a boss is attacking everyone, and everyone just runs in, you know, and the boss just starts attacking whoever because the fight just started. How do you as the tank get aggro in the first place? Because the boss may just not attack you. You know, you're big and slow. You're not doing as much damage because your range it's low. This can be fixed in different ways, but you know, in general, your range is not great. So you can use taunt, just like World of Warcraft. 50-meter range, which is huge, by the way. It basically hits from almost anywhere on the map, depending on the size of the map, but it's 50 meters is big. You can hit taunt, and the boss will immediately drop what he's doing and attack you. It feels fantastic. It doesn't last forever. Does it say here? No. I think it's 10 seconds. He'll attack you no matter what for 10 seconds. The idea is that when you taunt him and he attacks you for 10 seconds, that's when you build up your aggro with the shield. Okay? So he starts attacking you, and you have 10 seconds to get all your blocks in, and you're going to shoot up to the top of the aggro charts, and you're going to be the first priority, and then you hold the aggro with the shield. And eventually, if you lose it again, because listen, people can start to do some insane damage, okay, to the boss. Depending on, you know, some guy might have a legendary ultra greatsword that he got lucky on, and it's got an insane damage roll, and he might just start to pull ahead. That just happens. Well, guess what? Taunt comes off cooldown in 20 seconds. It lasts for 10 seconds. So all you have to do is hold enough aggro with your shield for 10 seconds. That's super doable, okay? I don't care how bad you are and how bad your gear is. You can hold aggro for 10 seconds by holding right click. It's gonna work, okay? The numbers are in support of this working for you. So aggro is a huge system. It decides who a boss attacks. It's how the tank has a real, you know, a real viable role in the game that actually makes sense. You feel like you're tanking when you're a tank, and that's a lot to do with the aggro system. So, what do we got next? Let's talk a bit about bosses. So bosses have all kinds of different attacks. Some of them are movement attacks. Some of them are normal attacks. Some, you know, they've got leap attacks, they've got AoE attacks, they've got knockdowns, they've got stuns. One of the more interesting mechanics that we implemented for the boss fights. So everyone's got all kinds of, there's stuns in the game, you know, some things you can stun the boss with. And the boss also has the ability to be knocked back. You know, if someone has a bunch of rage and their knockback is super high, they can swing at the boss with the Ultra Greatsword, and the boss will get knocked back probably maybe 1 every 4 swings. The boss might flinch. Sometimes he might get knocked down. Imagine you have 4 people attacking the boss with the Ultra Greatsword, and they're all knocking him back. Let's take it further and say he gets stuck being knocked back, so he's right? The boss has a retaliation that he will do when he's knocked back too many times. It's a big AoE explosion attack where he says, I'm done being knocked back. All of you need to get away from me. And it does a ton of damage. It can one-shot you sometimes. And so you have to be really careful. If you're chain knocking back a boss and you're thinking you're a genius and you just exploited the game, you're probably about to die. Now, there is a skill factor to this. You can iframe his AoE explosion, okay? So if you have a group of 4 Chads and you're all knocking back the boss with ultra greatswords, and the boss tries to retaliate, and everyone in a synchronous movement iframes the AoE attack, then congratulations, fellas. You're gaming, okay? You're playing video games. And that's just the way it is. You know, you're better. You're just better. The iframe from the dodge roll is amazing. You can beat the entire game with no abilities, no stats in health. Well, there is one boss that will fuck you up, and you can't iframe him. But most other bosses, you can beat with just iframes, just like Dark Souls. And it is a super fun way to play, okay? Because our bosses are really fast. They're not telegraphed like Dark Souls. It's not an iframe game, but once you really master the bosses, you can absolutely beat them with iframes. I do it all the time, but you know, I'm the best player in the world. Let's see. Bosses use dice rolls, player distances, nearest player. Yeah, so boss decisions are pretty much based on dice rolls. How far away each player is from them. Who's the nearest player. Aggro, who's got aggro. And a lot of other parameters to make decisions. And they've all got their own decision trees with probabilities for each of their moves that they're going to do. Certain moves can only be activated, you know, when a boss gets into a certain state, that whole ordeal as well. A boss will usually do a movement ability following an attack. So what that means is when a boss attacks you, they'll take a swing at you, and then shortly after they take a swing at you, they'll jump backward or jump to the left or do something like that to reposition and kind of just make the fight feel a little more dynamic. The boss isn't just like, if the boss doesn't take breaks, I'm sorry guys, you will get destroyed and it's not going to be fun, because we've tried this. I was like, the boss doesn't need breaks, he's a demon. He's just going to fight relentlessly till you're dead. As it turns out, that does not make for a very fun game. They have to take breaks so that you can gather yourself and formulate some kind of strategy to kill them. It's just necessary. Monster Hunter does it all the time, and they do it super well. They do it so well, it looks very natural and part of the fight. They're masters at it. And Dark Souls does it too, you know, with a boss move speed, walking very slowly towards you. Some bosses will, you know, just not attack or mix it up. You just have to have it. So we're going to talk about the final system in the game. That's not, we just removed it. And I'll tell you why we removed it and why we're going to re-add it. So these campfires here, these actually have a function. And this empty slot right here, the G slot, that also had a function. So our game was a roguelite, meaning there was permadeath in our game. The idea was that you would go into a dungeon, and every time you died, this meter would go down. It would decrease by a certain amount. When the meter hits 0, you permadie, and you lose all your stuff, and you have to reset. Now, how do you get the meter to go back up? Well, you spend sins, what you get from consuming the hearts, and you rest at a campfire, and the bar goes up a little bit. And so it's something you're always monitoring and watching, and it's going down. When it gets too low, you know, you probably want to stop what you're doing, go find a campfire. You might need to farm some sins. And so I really like this system. It's in the game, it's just turned off at the moment. What we found is that it's just too much for people to grasp, along with all of our other systems. And so we're probably going to re-implement it later on as a nightmare mode after you beat the game, or like a hardcore mode. I think that will fit because people will get one full playthrough under their belt. They'll know what they're doing by that point. And then they can replay the game in a much harder way. The way the game was intended to be, I should say. The way that I would want to play the game. But, you know, like I said, I know everything about the game. And so I'm very... It's tough to stay connected to a new player when you are a developer who knows everything about your game and exactly how to play it in the most optimal way. It's hard to pull yourself out of that. Sometimes it's impossible. But we did it anyways with the truth system, and we turned it off. So, with all of that crap being said, if the idea is that someone can watch this video down the road and learn a lot about our game because early access is coming up in March. And we'll release up to the corpse grinder for people to play. And then shortly after that, we will release the final 3 dungeons, which are the longest and the hardest and the most extravagant and whatever. But yeah, so let's, I don't know, play a couple levels, see how it goes, and then we're gonna call it.
These halls run deep. Before we came here, before the fall of the old empire, men and women wormed their way deep into the mountains in search of wealth. Most found only early deaths. When we came here, we found yawning vaults and miles of tunnels writhing down into gloom. We used them. You will proceed down through the hushed galleries. Step softly, for those that rest there sleep lightly, and you would not want them to wake. They were once sin eaters, but now they are more than less. They consumed too much sin and were consumed by it in turn. We seal them in lead to keep them contained. It works, mostly. The thing you hunt today is one such. It broke its seal and tried to pass through us to the surface. We did not allow it. It fled, burned and broken, into the dark places beyond the hushed galleries. Your task is to find it and end it. Do this. Defeat this fallen brother and consume their ever-beating heart, and you have taken the first step to joining our ranks. There will be many tests, and each might kill you. But this is the first.
All right. There's a crazy bug right now, guys. The quest giver is supposed to be standing right here. Okay? You're gonna see her. When I come back from this quest, she'll be here. I think. She's supposed to be right where I am right now. For some reason, she keeps moving backwards through the wall. I could not begin to tell you why. It's crazy shit, man. Like, she moves backwards through the wall slowly. First, you'll see her in the table, and then she'll be gone. I don't know why. Okay, before we go into this, I'm gonna actually change my abilities because I don't want to use these. Take this. That's a stun. Super good. We'll take this. Amazing ability. Staple. And of course, we'll take Harden. And C is your potion. It just restores 25% of your max health. It scales with your max health, so it's always 25%. 7-second cooldown. Superb solo heal. It does just enough healing to keep you alive at a pinch, but it's not going to get you back to the point where if you're playing with 4 people, you won't want a healer, potentially. So since we've got, you know, people dealing, if you want to speed run it truly, and you've got two guys with really good weapons, just get someone on a healer, and just let the guys with the really good weapons just freaking go at it. So here's some barrels you can hit. Oh, it dropped a tome for me. So the blue is just normal rare. Let's see what it has on it. Let's get rid of all this crap. 10 damage. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. So we're just gonna quickly do this the quick way. So we'll hit our stun them all, charge it up, all dead. Something to note with our movement system, you can cancel every animation basically in the game. So when you swing, get your damage off, roll, cancel it. And so you can end up being really fast. Now what you can't do, so I cancel it, I can't progress in the combo. You see, and the combo does ramping damage. So the further you get into the combo, the more damage you get out of it. It is faster than just cancel, right? And so you are incentivized to finish your combo, but you can take the end animation off. So here's a heart. That's what a heart looks like. Press it. You see, I got one sin. Chest, what did this? Legs? I mean, you know, something. Health, stamina, rage. I mean, they're not great. They're level 1, but it's something. Okay. Yeah, not bad. See, it does 75, 95, 115. And the 115 will actually hit twice. And so that's really good damage for, oh, we just got a legendary. Minus 12 stamina, but 40 damage. How interesting. We're definitely running that. And 28 health. So weapons can actually have minus stats. This was not intended. This is just a product of how I coded our stat system. Sometimes stats go negative. I don't entirely know why, but I found it interesting, so I kept it in. Minus 4 CDR. That's not good. Having negative CDR might not be what you want. Got a knockback. We'll heal up. So this ranged ability is great for just chipping the boss down. So you can kind of just kite him, chip him down, got a knockback. And then when Harden is up, activate Harden, you'll see, comes off my stamina. It's a lot. But you can use Harden in combination with iframes, so you can be imperfect with your dodging. If you have Harden on, you'll save the stamina. And if you get hit, it'll only take away from your stamina. So it's really good to practice your iframes when you have Harden on. Stun him. You see, that right there is why move speed is good. You can dodge iframes and get a few hits. And see, I just got a knockback. Being too greedy. Hit him with one of those. We'll use our right click to heal us up, so it's a fantastic heal. Oh, you hear that little sound? That's what happens when you run out of stamina and you get your block broken. Dodge it. Got him. Okay. Pretty good. And what did we get? So we got 5 sins. We got a 29 rage headpiece with 11 armor. I mean, that's really good. Really solid. So this is gonna take us back to refusal. If I was really being optimal right now, I'd be running around destroying extra barrels while the countdown is happening. Like this. Pick that up, that's just free gold. Okay. So we got 6 sins from that run. We'll sell all this stuff. What's that? 13 damage? No, ours is way better. Sell all this stuff. We don't have enough money for anything really. Not even for a trinket. We'll have to save up a bit for that. We have 6 sins. The first tier of every ability is 5. So we can buy a new ability. What do I want here? Whirlwind is useless because I can't build rage with the mace. So I'm just gonna get this. Really, really, really good AoE ability. Fantastic. It's a damage over time. And we'll just put 3 points into health, you know. Get what we can. And I only got a B on that. 5 minutes, you need to get under 3 minutes to get an S. You get more sins the faster time you get. So once you get good at farming these guys, you can really get some major stat improvements if you're having a hard time on one of the bosses. Let's do the Crypt Keeper.
Near the foot of this mountain is the town of Karst, or it was. Now you will see its refugees thronging our streets. The town belongs to the dead. A demon has laired there and infested the streets with ghost-ridden corpses. The refugees call it the Crypt Keeper. It lords over its petty empire of the damned like a shit king on a throne of filth. Your task is to cleanse the town of this blight. To do that, you will need to destroy the Crypt Keeper. It will be layered in the graveyard, down among the dead. Find it, kill it, consume its heart to take its power, then return.
Never forget to consume its heart. That is specifically why we do this. Ooh. I didn't even realize. We have a weather change. How pretty. It's morning. You know, I realized that I designed this town and I made it, so obviously I like it, but I think other people might too. It really does feel quite, I don't know, it feels cozy in its own way. Just in its design, how it's so compact. And then you see the mountains and the wandering colossus in the distance. You can probably imagine which anime that's inspired from. Alright, graveyard time. The Crypt Keeper's up ahead. But we have to, we gotta kill all these zombies. And you know, you can always destroy barrels before you fight the boss. Because again, the gear scales with the dungeon level. And, you know, the rarity is exponential, so you can get some killer pieces of gear out of these barrels if you get a little bit of luck on your side. I'm already doing 90 damage, man. Why? Oh. Yeah. 115, 60, 30, yeah. So I recently nerfed this. The dot on this Flame Repent ability does half damage. Because, honestly, you should be using Flame Repent dot. See how it knocks everyone back for you? You can literally create like a safe circle, a safe space for you to stand inside of. If you're fighting a giant horde, it just keeps them off of you. And honestly, the damage was just too broken combined with the fact that you have this little safe circle demon bow. Let's have a look at this. So this is a demon style weapon. They all glow different colors. Look at that. The weapons in the dungeon are cooler. That's just the way it is. Not that the holy weapons aren't cool, but you know, I'm a big fan of the other stuff. What's that? Ooh, great sword. Looks like we just got a new weapon. 81 damage. That's gonna serve us well. And I can't fucking wait to try out the new build that I just added. Maybe we'll even find some bugs if we're lucky. Comes buddy. So this guy is quite a bastard, right? You really gotta, you know, a little bit about what you're doing. He's hard to pin down. Like, you see how he's jumping at me? This can be quite annoying. You really gotta sort of patiently fight him. Better yet, you can do what I'm doing. You know, you kind of dodge attack, run in, and you get a few swings on him. Ranged attack for chip damage. And then you have a stun. Pins him down for a few seconds. You know, put this down, hit him with one of these. He's hardened. And then I can be much more careless when I have harden on. Because of course my stamina. And you know, I'm melting this guy. See how easy this can be if you know everything about all of it? So, his first stage, he summons a bunch of zombies. If he's above a certain percent HP, he'll actually jump away. And just let you fight the zombies. But since we're, you know, since he's really low, this fucking guy's starting to piss me off. Of course, when you kill them, all the zombies die, so we don't have to deal with any of them. Let's get rid of them. Do it in style. I'm gonna let him die. There. Perfect. Nice and easy, as all things should be. Just kidding, though. A lot of you are gonna play this and die. Because this guy is actually not... He's not the easiest to fight against. What did we get? 39 health, 39 mana. Look at the difference, guys. Epic, level 2. Common, level 1. Dog shit. There we go. Big dub. And we have 16 sins. This is good. I think I might be able to try out my new build next dungeon. But we'll see. Can I? I think I can. No. Wait, yeah, I can. There we go. Unreal. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys why this is so fucking sick, okay? I'm so excited for this. So, the greatsword has always been kind of weak because the right click only builds rage, right? But it takes a long time to get enough rage dumps to actually use all that rage. So I added in something that's fairly quick to get that you can use all that rage with. So watch this. So let's say I'm attacking a boss, right? I stun him with flash shot. I hit my right click. Watch, I max rage and I start using this. Boom, 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 boom. And so you get 4 of them in a row because your rage is stuck at max. It costs 50 rage, but it has a 1 second cooldown. Right? It's this AoE like stomp ability, basically. Just like an AoE explosion. 1 second cooldown, costs 50 rage. And so if you're like in the middle of a giant amount of mobs, man, you can just start melting them. And it only does 25 damage, okay? Base ability damage is 25, but it scales off weapon damage. And so 81 weapon damage is just added to that 25. And you'll see right here, 106. So you see the 81 plus the 25. And so when you get a weapon that does like 300 damage in later dungeons, you know, you are going to be shredding giant crews of mobs with this build. And so if you run the greatsword, I highly recommend, you know, you can take you take Hell Swing, that's 500 single target damage in one, you know, it's in 2 swings, but it's, you know, 1 ability. 70 rage dump. So think late game when you have like 300 rage and you use your right click, you can use this like, you know, who knows how many times, a bunch, and then you can finish it with a 500 damage Hell Swing. So like it's fucking sick, man. God. Let's just put this into health and we'll sell our items. I'm sticking with the greatsword. I want to use this new build that I have. We'll sell this mace. That's gonna get outscaled real quick. What does that have? 39 mana. No, we don't need mana. All right, we're gonna sell this, and you guys watch this, and I'll be right back.
Your next assignment will take you far from here. Down into the heartlands of the world that was. On the broad plains, at a ford of the Great Serpent River, is a castle which once belonged to a mighty prince of the Empire. And in that castle, a demon. That demon is Zod, an ancient and terrible creature. Powerful, yes, but far more dangerous. It is cunning, careful, and patient. It has amassed an army of the damned, countless dark things to blight the earth and blacken the skies with their numbers. It will not keep them idle for much longer. The castle is vast and labyrinthine. Its many halls and corridors twist back upon themselves to confound the unwary. It conceals many secrets. Your task is to infiltrate Zod's castle, traverse its halls, find Zod, and kill it. Show it no mercy, for it will surely show us none.
Alright, let's do this. What the hell's going on? Zod the Furious. He's not happy. Not happy at all. This is a longer dungeon, but I'm gonna speed run it, so you TikTok heads don't lose attention. It's good. Wait, yep. Look at this. This is gear scaling, folks. 44 rage, 16 stamina, minus 3 CDR, 51 armor. That's a lot of armor. Minus 3 CDR is not great, but look at this. 29, 3, 6, 3. 11 armor. Way more stats on this. This is a blue, this is a purple. This is gear scaling. This is good. This is what we want. This is dope. More dopamine. You open a chest. Ooh, pretty shiny. Ooh, it's better than my last pretty shiny. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. Let's see if this actually works. Boom! Oh man, I love that. Oh god, that's good. This might have just become my favorite weapon. Purple. What's on that? 84 rage. Gear scaling, fellas. Yeah. This is why it's good. Just leave them to their devices. I've got better things to do. Oh, we got some hearts. You can tell you got some hearts by that eating sound that plays. Get, oh my. Make me go crazy. Let's really bring the pain. Harden, and you just stand here, bang. Oh, I'm out of rage. The guys with red eyes are level 2. They got way better stats than level 1. So watch out for them. The mobs don't actually scale with the dungeon level. They stay a consistent difficulty so that you can feel your power in the dungeon. So, you know, as you get stronger, you'll fight level 1 guys that you fought in the last dungeon, some of them, and, you know, you'll, like, one-shot them. And that's how you know you're getting stronger. You know, you'll feel that. But then you also will have level 2 guys mixed in, and they'll remind you that, you know, you still got some work to do. Grab this one. We're taking the secret shortcut that no one knows about. But you do now. Remember this. We're full. Shit. Whew. Is that a normal greatsword? It is. It says just as demon. I'll have to fix that. That's an upgrade. What else do we got in here? It's helmet. 27 health. 34 mana. That's not that good. We need to get rid of some of this shit. We're already filling up. Level 1 stuff. Level 2. Remember, the higher the item level, the more it sells for, and the higher rarity, the more it sells for. So you try to stack up only gear that's of a decent rarity from the dungeon you're in. Another heart. Those are going to be good stats. Piece of shit. Piece of shit. Now we make them pay. Woo! Damn. I might need to nerf that. I don't know. I think I might need to nerf the range a little bit. Like that I felt like I was hitting guys from pretty far away. sick. It's OP. It's too strong. I'm gonna need to nerf it. I think I'll nerf the range and that'll be fine. It can't be hitting these big groups of guys though. There's a bunch of stuff up there. We're gonna skip it for now. Oh, you know what? I haven't been down here once. A very long time. Secret. Legendary. This is why we do it. It's a rifle. That's a good rifle. I'm not using it though. I'm not a big rifle guy. 57 mana. That's fine. Now we gotta jump down here. I guess we're gonna do some of the content over here, because if you want to hit that secret room, you gotta get back a different way. Go in here. That's just so satisfying. Out of my way. I own this place. Oh, no rage. Alright. So I'm not going to explain how this dungeon works, because you'll just have to figure it out. You might be able to gather quite a bit from watching me play it, but I'm skipping a lot of stuff here. Get out of the way. What's that? We got one inventory slot, we'll take this. Yeah, I think it needs a slight range nerf, and then it'll be pretty good. It's supposed to be good for if you're, like, totally surrounded. But at the moment, I'm kind of just hitting everyone with it. It's supposed to kind of only hit the first, like, 2 rows of mobs if you're being circled. But it's hitting, like, the first, like, 5 rows of mobs. And so it's just real good. So we gotta go get 2 more keys though. Oh, my hair. There. Now it doesn't look like I'm going bald so bad. Perfect. What's this? Yeah, the range is just too high. See, look at all the rage I have already. 230. That's 4 uses of this ability before it degenerates. The damage is good though. Like I'm not one-shotting everything with it. It's not supposed to one-shot. It's supposed to like knock back. It does one-shot when you stack it up with. Oh shoot! When you stack it up with Flame Repent, but you know maybe that's just good gameplay. I think I came from this way. No. Yes. I still get lost in this maze every once in a while. Okay, buddy. gotta get back to the main room. Put the keys in the thing. We need one more. I'm gonna go ahead and just preemptively do this. It's a little too bad. Decreasing the range should fix it. Should put it in a good spot. Damage is nice, but not when it applies. Don't fall down there, by the way. Not when it applies to too many guys at once. Oh. Well, there you go. I definitely do good damage right now. I will say that. This guy can still kill me though. I'm not happy at all. Like, look at that. I'm like dead. See? I need to be careful here. I'll take this. Just, let's just wait for a second. Get some health back. Stun. 1, 2, leave. Not good range on this weapon. You can't just pull him through this. This does some damage. See, that's good chip damage. We're full now. Activate this. Knock back. 1, 2, 3. Heal. Uh-oh. We'll just pull him through this and he'll die. There we go. Alright, what do we get? 107 stamina. It's a tough one. I'm gonna take the stamina because Zod, the boss we're fighting, does a lot of damage, and this is gonna help with my knockback. See, I have 20% base knockback floor now because I have 208 stamina, 20.8%. Legendary again. That's a hammer. Oh. See, this can happen. I don't need mana for anything, but that's a crazy sword. If you want to be like a mage that uses a sword, that's 68 mana. But it's not better. Half decent hammer, nothing groundbreaking, but it's good enough. Don't fall into the lava. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but you might be able to guess. Alright, we'll put the last key in the slot. Door opens. And now we have Zod. Zod the Furious. Let's stun him. This guy does massive damage. Like, I can probably one-shot me with something. That. I did just iframe it, but that jump ability. Does like 70 damage or something. Dodged that barely. His back leg. God. He summons waves of monsters. Exactly for that reason. You can see how fast I just died. I am not a tank. That's why I can do this. What's that? Bow. Let's take a bow for fun. Shoot him a few times. People who want to see some ranged gameplay. That hurt. See how much stamina I have? It didn't flinch me. That's because of all my stamina. Otherwise, I would have gotten knocked down. Alright, that's enough of that. Do a lot more damage with this thing. So this guy is like pretty slow, and you know, it's not super hard to dodge his attacks. But his attacks will pretty much one-shot you, and so you can't really get hit that many times. Oh, see, look, I'm half HP, and all these guys just bomb. Oh, this is bad for me. Real bad. Do a harden. Should be okay. We'll get rid of these last few guys. Stun them. Do you want? Get out of here. Almost. There we go, we got him. Purple weapon here. That's better than mine. That'll hurt. Carbon. No legendary, unfortunately. Not even good. It happens. Alright, not a bad run. 18 minutes. Not super fast, but you know, not bad for a first run. Alright. We're gonna use this one. We're gonna sell the rest of this stuff. It's a good sword. We're gonna sell it. 600 bucks. We haven't bought a trinket yet. What could we use? Really anything. Our chest plate sucks. Let's buy one of these. Come on, give us good stats. Oh. Full mana. Not what I needed. It's the way she goes sometimes. We can buy a trinket though. Let's buy this one. With 54 sins. So get not these. Unlock this. This is great. Honestly, I think that's good. We need stats. Pretty weak. Hit auto. We don't need any of the mana, but the rest of the stats are nice. We'll put the rest into... Our stamina is already pretty good. Let's put the rest into health. Alright. Got to level 10. I mean, we're rolling. My new greatsword is sick. So, I think we're going to call it here. Just about to hit the 2 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. We did get an A. Yeah, under 15 minutes is S. You know what? Let's do the steward. Watch this is one of my favorites.
Across the mountains,
let's do this one and then we'll call it.
Snow-choked valley is the town of Fold. From the mines there, we obtain the strange ores needed to alloy our arms, armor, and the seals for the fallen members of our order. The town was ruled over by a steward, chosen from our number, but he consumed too much sin too quickly, and fell. Far from the heart of our power, the steward was able to kill the other members of the order in the town, before he could be sealed in lead and locked in the hushed galleries. As the sin came to dominate the steward, his rage grew without measure nor bounds. He razed the town to the ground. Some died peacefully from smoke. Some died screaming in the flames. But all the townsfolk died. Now he rules over a kingdom of ashes. The steward waits in his hall above the valley. Find your way there and destroy the steward so that we can reopen the mines. Consume his heart.
Alright. Let's do that. I think we have everything. The steward is awesome. I'm just gonna say that right now. A friend of mine voiced the steward, and he did all the voice lines in one take, no script, and they were amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was fantastic. And now he's in the game forever. It's a beautiful thing. Anyways, let's get the hell out of here. These guys will all just spawn and be annoying. But I've got work to do. These dogs. Annoying little bastards. Backwards chests. Wait, where am I going? This way. Okay, this is actually getting a little bit A lot of guys here. Man, that's such a great build. It doesn't do much single target though. 10% CDR. I mean, that's good. Taking that. 85 rage, that's good too. Those are good caster pants. Oh. No, we just... That was the one we bought. Screw that piece of shit. Let's see, 71 health. No, since I'm melee, I'm gonna keep the stamina. The stamina really helps the game flow. Like, if you're melee, you really don't get knocked back very often if you're building a lot of stamina. Despite the fact you're taking damage, and you know, it's really nice to have health. Stamina, like, keeps the fight going because you're just constantly not being knocked back. So, not to mention if you have hardened, you know, you can use that to soak up a lot of damage. It's like stamina turns into a second health bar for a little bit. Oh, look at all this. Couple of these. Oh, I'm out of rage. So the reason why I took this this third ability, Demolish, it's the best stun in the game. 5-second stun. Oh god, this is actually bad. I may die. Ooh, let's pop our trinket. Gives me an extra 400 health. Temporarily. It's like a shield. That was close. Now it goes back down. See, it just ran out. Super good, like, temporary tank item. If you don't want to be a real tank, you can kind of go in here and there and use your trinket. Give you 400 extra health. You're like a fake tank. You know, you can put all your points into damage and then just get the... It's like a shield, you know. It serves the same purpose as a shield. But, yeah, it's a nice trinket to have. Once you get enough health, though, you don't need it anymore. And then there are other trinkets that are better, but in the meantime, like, I like using it, especially for melee when you're up in the fight all the time. It can really help. And of course, I'm not exploring like any of these dungeons. You know, that's for you guys to do. I already know where everything is and all the secrets and whatever. I'm just taking the straight path to the boss. And not the fastest path, by the way. There are secret paths that are significantly faster than obviously I'm not going to take because you guys need to find them. I'm just taking the easiest one, okay? The most obvious one that the game will guide you through, kind of. The level will flow you towards this path over others. I love that ability. Oh my god. I knew as soon as I made it that it was going to be fantastic for this. And let's just pull this. Drop the bridge. These guys are going to keep coming for a little while, so I'm just going to... What the hell? I really know they could come up here. It's kind of scary. I'm a little worried about my health. Like, there's not... I don't have a ton of HP, I gotta be honest. I've really been speedrunning this and, like, not spending time getting stats or anything. Like, there's a very straightforward linear run here, but... Because the steward has attacks that hit for 120 damage. It helps a lot when you know exactly what he's doing, because, you know, I can dodge everything, but... Man, if you get overwhelmed, you know, a bunch of mobs swarm you, anything can happen. I could just get, like, 2-shot. Alright, here we go. One of my favorite parts in the whole game. He's sitting there on his throne. He does not look happy.
How dare you enter these halls, righteous scum? Do you not see it? Can you not
He is intimidating.
taste the poison that drips
Slowly walks towards you and just talks to you.
word and deceit?
Oh fuck.
Smile. Chaos has woven its tendrils into every
He's got a lot to say.
of this decaying
Alright, let's start fucking dealing with this problem. Oh, I missed my first stun. Not good. Honestly, I'm a little intimidated. Like, see how much damage that just did to me?
For I shall unravel the tangled threads of this realm.
My buddy did all these voice lines with no script in one take. Can you fucking believe
I
that?
am the voice of reason. There is a darkness that lurks beyond comprehension.
Let's start, like... Oh yeah, knockdown. Big deal. Let's pop our trinket.
Devouring all that is pure.
Hit him with a few of these. Oh, that's a huge attack. I missed my stun. Oh no, that's bad. Let's take this heart.
In this darkness there is a twisted beauty. Do you think you can fight against this tide? This relentless surge of malevolence?
Come on, give me a knockdown. No, not today. We'll do trinket, we'll do this, we'll do stun, and then we'll hit with the blasts. Oh yeah, knockback. That's what all the rage is for. Oh, I missed it.
Your sword, your
This is the best line.
armor, they are but feeble trinkets against the storm.
I just love it. Oh my god. See my stamina going down? That's hard and working its magic. Stun him. It's going to hit me with a big... Oh, I dodged it. I was lucky. Ow. That was a normal, like, lunge attack. See how much damage it did? Like 70?
Witness
60?
the decay, the ruin. This kingdom, it is my masterpiece. A symphony of madness and despair orchestrated by my hand.
Oh, man. Amazing. I just fucking love it. Oh, God. That's fun, man. Legendary, too, for my efforts. Thank you. What was it? Don't tell me it was a gun. Oh, it was a gun. Listen, not that the guns are bad, okay, but I like using the swords. This does giant damage. Because remember, you can get headshots, extra 50% damage, right? And then you have this thing. That's big damn. That's 200 plus weapon damage, plus headshot damage modifier if you hit a headshot with it. Like, you're pulling big numbers with that. Oh, my hair. It's back to looking like I'm going bald. I love it when it does that. he still gives you 500 in gold. Probably fix that at some point. Consider it my gift to you. So this back on. I like that one. Here, sell. So look, I got 850 gold, right? And I got 65 sins. So, like overall, I'm happy with my build. How happy? I won't lie, this ability might actually be balanced because it does fairly low single target damage, honestly. It's not great in boss fights. There are better options for sure. Like this. Exactly like this. I don't think I need both of these. Interesting. I have no idea what the better route to take is. I'll have to think about it more. But let's do stats. Look, I just got 100 health. We'll get rid of mana because I'm not a caster right now. And we'll just put these points into health. So we're doing pretty good on HP. 850 gold. Like, look at our chess piece. It's horrible. Round 2. Let's do this. 420. Oh my god. That's just brutal. Is this bugged? There's no waiting on mana. Mana just... Let's try this one. This one will work better. Last of my gold. If it's mana, I'm gonna... It's 236 stamina. That's good. That's more like it. Sell this. Sell that. Alright. Well, I can't be knocked back. Like, ever. So I don't really need... Oop, old map. I don't really need Harden anymore. It's still great, though. Honestly, fantastic ability. Alright, well, we're definitely going to call it here. I would play the next dungeons, but, you know, oh, I got an S on the steward. That might need to be made a little bit harder. Maybe 10 minutes? But, yeah, early access comes out in March, and you guys will be able to play up to the Corpse Grinder. And then shortly after, we'll release Necromancer, Abyssal Warden, and the Elder. This has been a lot of fun. There's no feeling like having fun playing your own game. That's how it should be. If you ever make a game and you don't like it, then you should evaluate your choices. You should have fun playing your own game. It'll be better because of it. So with that being said, keep an eye on our Steam page. Steamfest is going to end soon, but obviously wishlist to help us out. And yeah, you will be seeing us very soon. So everybody take care and have a good night. Thank you for watching.